Perpetuating victimhood, especially when it's false, is not a great advertisement for leadership. Kamala Harris's new memoir of the 24 election is called 107 Days, but it should have been called Everyone Sucks But Me. Look, ladies, I know this isn't fair, but we're all always running against the worst cliche of who people think we are. Women Democrats can't look oversensitive or preachy or unable to laugh at themselves. They also can't look silly, like Gretchen Whitmer did, trying to hide in the Oval Office. They have to look brave and strong.
Bill Maher is going full throttle against Democratic Party leadership, accusing them of abandoning their core mission, energizing voters, and winning elections. He highlights how party leaders get lost in petty distractions while ignoring the real issues staring them in the face. On his political show, Maher didn't hold back. His critique was sharp, blunt, and relentless. So smash that subscribe button and let's dive in.
Because there is no argument here. There's just the sugar rush that the no-contact people get from never coming in second in a hate Trump the most contest. Really? That's your strategy, to go full high school and tell the guy with all the power he can't sit with you at the lunch table? To borrow a phrase familiar to HBO viewers, you are not serious people. I mean, what exactly is the argument? That by talking to Trump, I'll elevate him? Oh my God, don't tell me he could become president. Well, I guess Ma'am Donnie is going to elevate Trump because he went to the White House today, and look who's getting along now.
The Democratic Party appears to have quietly adopted an unwritten rule: don't talk to Trump or his supporters. Bill Maher thinks that idea is completely absurd. He makes it clear that politics isn't a social media block button. You don't win elections by shutting out half the country, and you don't grow a movement by hiding inside an echo chamber. To Maher, this isn't about principle, it's political negligence. Ignoring dissenting voters doesn't make them disappear. It guarantees they'll never hear you. While Democrats obsess over moral purity, Republicans are out campaigning, persuading, and expanding their reach. Maher warns that what's framed as virtue often comes across as arrogance. If Democrats want real power again, they need to abandon the idea that disagreement equals betrayal and embrace a simple democratic truth. You don't have to like voters to represent them. You just have to talk to them.
This guy, MBS, was at the White House this week. Biden thought he could cut him off, but a year later he found out he couldn't. There's no perfect way to deal with Trump, but not engaging is for sure nothing. Axios wrote a column in August entitled 11 Ways to Influence Trump, based on many interviews with people who have done that. Number 8, get face-to-face. The trick is getting in the room, away from cameras and social media. Trump will say or write horrible things, but rarely in person, one-on-one, where he comes off kinder, more interested, less erratic. Exactly. And there's a bunch of examples of this. Most recently, the CEO of Intel, who Trump was hating on, but then he met in person and now he's a great guy.
Maher lays down a hard truth. Ignoring Trump and his supporters doesn't weaken them. It supercharges them. Every time Democrats refuse to engage, that movement grows louder, wider, and more energized. For Maher, silence isn't moral high ground. It's a political blunder. Shutting out opposing voices doesn't change minds. It hands them over to the other side. Democracy runs on persuasion, not isolation. By dodging opposing views, Democrats fuel resentment and push undecided voters even further away. Instead of widening the tent, the party keeps shrinking it, locking itself inside an echo chamber where disagreement feels like betrayal. Maher warns this strategy doesn't just repel conservatives. It alienates moderates, independents, and working-class voters who once formed the party's backbone. In chasing moral purity, Democrats risk sliding into political irrelevance.
Trump was gonna send the National Guard to San Francisco, but somebody talked him out of that. Kim Kardashian, for f***'s sake, convinced him to sign legislation. Don't you get it? Do you really not get it at this point? Everything with him is done through personal relationships. He's a people guy. Trust me, he's not at home at night poring over the briefing books. This is government by people is saying. If anything, we need more people like me having dinner with him. You complain he's surrounded by kissers, but your strategy is to make sure no one but kissers are around him. You are not serious people.
Donna Brazil watched live as Maher went after DNC leadership, and his message hit hard. Maher argues that the way to confront Trump and the MAGA movement isn't through boycotts, insults, or moral posturing. It's through conversation. You don't defeat a political force by pretending it doesn't exist. You weaken it by engaging the people who fuel it. Maher stresses that nothing meaningful in politics happens without personal connection. Change comes face to face, not through online outrage or ideological exile. When a party alienates voters who disagree, it doesn't look principled, it looks scared. Pushing people away only deepens divisions and strengthens the opposition. Maher's takeaway is simple. If Democrats want to win again, they must stop talking about Trump voters and start talking to them. Dialogue isn't weakness, it's strategy.
I'm spitting facts. In the Barbie movie, when she storms into the Mattel boardroom, it's 12 people, all men. But Mattel is a real company, and in 2023, their boardroom is actually 6 men and 5 women. Perpetuating victimhood, especially when it's false, is not a great advertisement for leadership. Kamala Harris's new memoir of the 24 election is called 107 Days, but it should have been called Everyone Sucks But Me.
Maher then zeroes in on another major failure of DNC leadership, refusing to take responsibility for election losses. Instead of honest reflection, party leaders default to finger-pointing. From Kamala Harris to AOC to Bernie Sanders, excuses fly. Voters weren't informed. The media was biased. The messaging wasn't progressive enough. Or the public just didn't get it. Maher argues this refusal to self-examine is exactly why the party keeps repeating the same mistakes. Losing an election should trigger serious introspection, not denial. Without admitting where strategy failed, leadership stumbled, or messaging backfired, nothing improves. Accountability isn't weakness, it's credibility. Maher even mocks the idea that Harris was a victim because she only had 107 days to win, despite having massive funding and a built-in voter base willing to support anyone who wasn't Trump.
Built-in army of about 75 million people who'd vote for any human-adjacent life form that wasn't Trump. But in 107 days, nothing is ever Kamala's fault. Biden lets her down by not stepping down sooner. Pouty face emoji.
Maher also criticizes Kamala Harris for turning on the very person who elevated her to national prominence, President Biden. Biden had countless options, from Gavin Newsom to Pete Buttigieg, yet he chose Harris, lifting her from senator to vice president and placing her at the center of American politics. That decision transformed her career overnight. Now, after an election loss, Biden is suddenly blamed for her defeat. Maher questions the logic. How does attacking the person who gave you your biggest platform help the party move forward? Instead of confronting strategic failures or voter disconnect, blame is pushed upward. Maher argues this reflexive scapegoating fractures party unity and erodes credibility. Progress comes from honesty and learning from defeat, not rewriting history.
Gavin Newsom, he was asked for his endorsement, but texted, "Hiking, we'll call back." But then never did. And then he didn't even ask her to prom. America itself lets Kamala down by not being ready for the running mate she really wanted, Pete Buttigieg. So she's stuck with the Home Depot paint salesman. And the rest is herstory.
Maher points out that Harris didn't stop at blaming Biden. She reportedly criticized Gavin Newsom for not endorsing her, as if a governor's endorsement would have guaranteed a presidential victory. Maher calls that mindset out of touch. Endorsements don't win elections, voters do. The blame even extended to the public. Harris allegedly suggested the country simply wasn't ready for certain candidates. To Maher, this perfectly captures the party's problem. When politicians lose, instead of asking what they did wrong, they assume voters are the problem. Maher warns this attitude is politically self-destructive. You can't win voters back by insulting them, and you certainly can't lead a country you refuse to understand.
Kamala writes that on election night, when it was clear she'd lost, an aide peeled the words "Madam President" off the cupcakes before handing them out. Oh, geez, that's like a scene from Bridget Jones Runs for President, for Christ's sake.
Maher claims Harris went even further, blaming her own staff and volunteers for the loss. Campaign aides, organizers, and messaging teams became convenient scapegoats once the results were in. But leadership means ownership. Critics argue Harris leaned into ideological positions that failed to resonate with working-class Americans and moderates. Her messaging often felt condescending rather than engaging. She avoided tough questions, dodged unscripted moments, and relied heavily on rehearsed talking points that rang hollow. Maher insists these weren't staff failures, they were leadership failures. Elections aren't lost because volunteers knocked on the wrong doors. They're lost when voters don't trust the message or the messenger.
Women Democrats can't look oversensitive or preachy or unable to laugh at themselves. They also can't look silly, like Gretchen Whitmer did, trying to hide in the Oval Office. They have to look brave and strong. It wasn't a good look for the woman party that all the guys were speaking out for Jimmy Kimmel when Trump went after him, except on the Woman Show, where for 5 days the outspoken hosts were suddenly as quiet as a geisha.
Maher then turned his attention to The View, calling out the hosts for their silence when it mattered most. According to him, they stayed quiet during the Jimmy Kimmel controversy and only spoke up once it was safe to do so. To Maher, this highlights a broader issue in media and politics: caution replacing conviction. Speaking only when it's convenient accomplishes nothing. Real influence requires courage. His final message is blunt. The Democratic Party is struggling because it avoids accountability, alienates voters, and blames everyone but itself. From leadership ignoring Trump supporters to internal finger-pointing, the party remains trapped in an echo chamber. Maher warns that real progress comes through dialogue, personal connection, and honest self-reflection, not moral posturing or opportunistic silence. Until Democrats own their mistakes and engage voters directly, they risk losing touch with the very people they claim to represent.